Hi, this is Bill Sisson, the editor of Soundings Trade Only. We're here at IBEX in Louisville, Kentucky, and we've just completed an 80-minute seminar on dealer and product expertise. We brought the three panelists up to do a shortened version for the web. With me today is Eric Sorensen, author of Sorensen's Guide to Powerboats, Don McKenzie, Vice President of Boats Incorporated in Niantic, Connecticut, one of the world's largest Grady White dealers, and Will Keene, President of Edson International in New Bedford, Mass. Edson makes a complete line of steering systems along with a number of other accessories. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Here's an open question. How important is strong product knowledge in developing trust among your customers?
In today's society, I think being approachable is number one, meaning that the fact they want to ask you the question. And number two, that you have to know what you don't know. I thought one of the comments today was very good by Bill, I believe. He said that know what you don't know. And we challenge ourselves to know what we don't know so we can answer the questions and be looked to as a more of authoritative source rather than just a salesperson. Once you show credibility that you do know exactly what you're talking about, you will be the go-to person and you will have the opportunity to make the sale when the people call you back with further questions saying, I heard that, can you explain this, or what do you think about this?
I think it's very important to realize, too, that in this day of internet usage, people are better educated typically when they come into a dealership. And they often know more about the boats than, in my experience, sometimes salespeople do. The salespeople in these businesses that are selling boats, dealerships, and the manufacturers should get to the point where the salesperson is the expert, is the product expert, and understand their own boat and also understand the competition so they know where they are strong. They can provide feedback to the manufacturer, and also so they can really understand and therefore convey, articulate to the customer what is a boat good for, what is it not good for, capabilities and limitations, and why is that.
I want to ask Eric this question. Eric, is it possible to provide too much detail, so much so that the customer becomes overwhelmed?
I think that's absolutely the case. You can tell them a lot more than they want to know. And that's, once again, part of the art of salesmanship is reading the customer, telling them what they are interested in. And you can read the tea leaves, you can read the body language and the actual overt questions and find out, do they really want to know more about hull design, or do they want to go on to something else? Are you losing them? Are their eyes glazing over? So you're not there to hear yourself speak. You're there to really pay attention to the signs and address them, but have the ability to do that if they do want to dip down into a very high level of technical detail.
Will, what happens when you don't know the answer to a question? How do you handle that?
Well, I think it's probably the most important way to answer a question that you don't know the answer to is honestly. If you don't know, you don't know. Don't make it up. Use the occasion as an opportunity to get back to the customer in a very timely manner with the correct answer. That can go to do more to build the relationship with that customer than almost any other single thing that you can do. Find out what the right answer is, get it for them, and convey that to them. And as I said earlier, I think doing it in a snail mail letter format is a way to differentiate yourself and to take the lack of knowing the answer to that question and turning it into a total opportunity is, to me, one of the great arts of salesmanship.
Right piece. Would you consider sending them to a competitor, for example?
Well, what I try and do is to solve their problem. Because if all of a sudden I'm a problem solver for them, I'm going to be the next phone call that they're going to make when they have a problem. And I think that there's a tremendous opportunity, and I've used it over the years, of saying, hey, our steering system isn't suitable for your particular boat. But here's where you get the most suitable steering system for your boat. And here's what it should be. Here's why it should be this. And use it as an opportunity to educate the person and to build a relationship with them. It always comes back because that guy tells 10 other people, it's doc talk. If you want an honest answer, call Will Keene. He'll give you an honest answer. That never hurts. I think hopefully over the years, if you've been in this game for a long time as I have, you build a reputation, and if your reputation has a foundation called honesty, you'll do well.
Don, with your sales staff, how do you educate them? How do you bring them up to speed in terms of technical details?
Product knowledge. One of the biggest advantages we have for product knowledge, especially for hardcore technical stuff, is the guy to my left. He's hired by one of our suppliers, and he knows pretty much where every nut, bolt, and screw is. And when we do have technical questions about a certain brand or product we might not know the answer to, which we do pride ourselves, we will call Eric for some input. How we train is various sources. Internet training. Many of our manufacturers have webinars. For example, every Tuesday, attend a webinar on how to display information, how to transmit information, how to learn. We have a little contest with them amongst ourselves.
So you sometimes actually do a quiz of sorts?
Oh, all the time. It's a Jeopardy show going on all the time. Yeah.
Well, what I focus on, Bill, is the technical side of the product. How the boat is built, the construction process, the methods and materials that are used. I talk about hull design. I have a client who has excellent running boats in rough water, and so part of the process of helping the dealer to be able to articulate why the boats run as well as they do is to explain the hydrodynamics of a planing hull, how it works, and I'll crawl underneath boats. I'll look at lines drawings of boats. We'll talk about how to judge how a boat's going to ride, whether it's up in a boat show on blocks or whether it's in the water. And I find that dealers and salespeople that have been selling boats for a long time, they know that the boats that they sell run really well because they've run their boats and others, but now they can explain why it is, what's the physics of it, and that's all it is. And I think this is really a strength. If you're able to describe the hydrodynamics, what the physics of why a boat rides the way it does, that's going to be a real big upcheck with a customer, that now they understand why it is, and it's not just smoke and mirrors, because everybody's going to say, yeah, my boat runs the best. But now they can make an informed choice about a boat.
So, Don, you carry several boat lines. How do you answer the customer who comes and says, which boat is the best? Which boat of your 3 or 4 boat lines is the best one?
Probably one of the toughest questions we have to deal with when a guy walks in and goes, what is the best boat line? Because it's so subjective. It's not subjective. Our job is to not overreact or underreact, to say we need to spend more time with you, and we will determine which one is the best for you. Many times it's a budget, many times it's construction, many times it's layout. Our focus is, even though we have many boat lines, we really have 3, but it's focused on family, fishing, outboard powered engines. That's our niche. That's what we try to do. We don't try to be all things to all people. But the biggest thing is, let us pick what's important to the customer, or what they perceive to be important at the time, and read their body language throughout the process and go from there.
Will, when everything comes together right, when you get the right customer and the right boat, that must be gratifying, and what does that look like?
It's never on its mooring. It's never in its slip. You see him at the yacht club or the marina, and he's got his whole family there with a dog, and the cooler's packed, and they're getting ready to go, every Saturday, every Sunday, and they can't wait, and everybody's jumping out of the car, smiling from ear to ear. That's the right boat. And in Buzzards Bay, where I grew up and live, the right boat is different than it will be on Lake George. I mean, it can be a really harsh environment, and the seas can build quickly. And so the right boat is pretty darn important, or there'll be trouble. And so it's a matter of educating without scaring, and informing without intimidating people, but understanding what they really need to do, and imparting your experience and knowledge in a nice and graceful way. And there was a bumper sticker many years ago that said, "Life's too short for an ugly boat," which someone gave me, and I said, the reality is, when you're on a boat, you can't see it. You can only see the people that are on board. And so the reality is everybody having fun. And the fun starts with safety and comfort. And if it's not safe, it's not comfortable, it's not fun. And I think those are really key elements to the whole process.
Well, guys, thanks for getting back together with us and going over this information. I think it's important. I think it'll help dealers and builders better communicate with their customers. So thank you for taking the time and talking to us today.
Great. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
This is Bill Sisson for Soundings Trade Only.